Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Pursuit of Relentless podcast. You have your host here, Alaina. And today I have a local Port Alberni, amazing realtor, brokerage owner, just extraordinaire. I'm super excited to get access to Chris Fenton here today. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. So I have personally done business with your team. I've been really impressed with the way that you guys do business. So I'm excited to show the audience just like what it is like to build a business like you've built. But maybe you can start with your story and like how you got started in the real estate space.
My story is not very traditional. I had no intention of being a real estate agent. My mom was a real estate agent, so I grew up since I was little with a real estate agent for a parent. Went away to university and I was like 19 years old and it didn't do so well. So I came home. I was living on mom's couch and I had to figure out what to do. So I got my real estate license. I landed in this business just by accident, and it's completely changed my life.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? How things just happen. Like for myself, I went from being a Red Seal pastry chef into like financial advising. I'm like, hmm, never saw myself as being this because I went from like a super creative to like, no, that didn't work out. Like I thought that was going to be my passion, and then it wasn't. But fast forward, it's changed my life as well. And I think when you find that thing that you're like, huh, this could work, it really just helps you develop the person that you are.
Yeah, I think life turns out the way it's supposed to, and when you look back on it, I was supposed to be doing this. So, however I got here, I am where I'm supposed to be. I went away to university partway through my career, so I got into it, did 4 or 5 years, and then I went back to university and I got a degree in business. And I went back wanting to learn how to build a world-class real estate business because so many real estate businesses or agents are just single people, single agents, kind of trying to figure it out, trying to be everything. And I thought, what if we could apply business principles to this industry? What could we accomplish?
Yeah, it's so different when you put that business hat on and you're like, hey, what's my exit strategy? Or like, how do I not work 24 hours a day like some real estate agents do, right? Same with the financial industry. Like, ugh. I've been offered positions with banks and stuff, and they're like, you can make all this money. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't recruit and I can't build and I can't, like, I have to work 9 to 5 every day. I'm like, that sounds terrible. Like, why would I want to do that if I can work for myself and be able to still help people and, do the things that I get to do? And it's just a different lifestyle when you're able to put that business hat on and go, okay, what can we do to change a traditional industry where it's, okay, I'm going to go sell houses versus actually going, no, I'm going to build a system that I can run in order to, facilitate the home buying process, but also run the brokerage myself so I don't have to work 24/7.
100%. Yeah.
So what's that looked like for you over the last couple of years? How long have you been running the brokerage for?
So the Fenton team turned into a brokerage about a couple of years ago. And it was an interesting transition for me. Like I said, I built this whole thing with this sort of intention of not being that way. But as a real estate agent, I was probably working 40 hours a week. I wasn't working evenings. I wasn't working weekends. I kind of already had that figured out. And I
Mm,
figured out how to structure the business and still provide fantastic service. But that was because I didn't work with buyers. And when you're working with buyers, you have to be available 7 days a week. But as the listing agent that I was at the time, it's far more structured. So Life Today, I do still do some listing work, but Life Today is basically helping all the other agents, all the other team members, um, being the person that answers their questions that they can come to grow their role.
mhm. I love that. And I know you work with your mom, and so you said she started first, and then you were able to just see what it looked like. So what's it like working with your family?
It is it's awesome and it's extraordinarily challenging all at the same time. So it's certainly not without its challenges. And my sister actually joined us about a year ago now. So now we have three
Cool.
family members working together.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, it certainly has its challenges. I think boundaries and communication and who's doing what and staying in your own lane and all of those things are super important when you're dealing with a family business.
Hmm. Especially a family business, but still with a team in general, like just having those roles. I think if you can be in the role that you're supposed to be in, you're gonna thrive a lot more in the business versus trying to take on all of this stuff that you might not be good at. Like my business mentor was like, Alaina, just staff your weaknesses. Like figure out what you're good at, do what you're good at, staff the stuff you're not good at, because there's someone else who's really, really good at that. And I was like, oh, okay. That's really good advice because you can't do everything and you can't be good at everything. So if you're good at one thing, why not stick to that? And I love I love getting your emails, by the way. I love the fact that you put a little bit of positivity in every email as well. I think that's a thing that people miss out on in their businesses. They're not capturing the whole market because they're not thinking of those little things like how can I, give information but also like add some humor to this or like give some good positive vibes out in the community. And I like what you do with your social media, like the post that I liked like a few weeks ago, might have been a month ago now, was you talking about your morning routine and like your daily routines. And that really hits home for me because it's something that I used to completely transition my life and my business. I didn't have the belief that I was going to be a business owner at all. And then I went into this industry and I was like, oh, okay, I could do that. Like it's just different. Maybe you could give people some advice on what you should do in your daily routine if you want to be successful.
So I think that's the most important part of my day. I think it's the part where I'm not actually working is the most important part of my day. So there's two parts of my routine, the work part and the personal part. And I think it's what I do in the morning that sets everything up. I think it's true of most people. I'm sure you're the same way that are successful in business. For me, it's like take care of yourself, take care of your mind, take care of your sleep, take care of your exercise, do those things every day. So I'm spending 2 hours working on myself before I even walk in the door at 9 in the morning. And
Mhm.
then my whole day is structured. So if you look at my calendar, you'll see my entire life, my entire year is structured. I know exactly where I'm supposed to be on every hour, on the hour. There's enough flexibility built into that that I can still adapt and enjoy my life and have fun. But it's those repeated routines that doing the same things over and over again, day in and day out, week in and week out, I think that lead to success.
Mhm. Yeah, I love getting up and like making a coffee and reading my book. Even if it's a different book, sometimes I'll read three at a time because I'm like, I don't feel like reading that one today, but this one, I like that one. And so I'll read in the morning and then I walk my dog and she literally sits on the couch and she's like, are you done yet? Like every day. And it's good because then she knows the routine and she's like, okay, I know we're going to go for a walk after she's done her reading. And then she can just get really excited and we go for a walk and then I come to the office or I go work in my home office, right? And it just really helps you set up your brain for the day. And I think when you exercise in the morning, you eat healthier during the day. I think you drink more water. You have better intentions because you're literally focused on, okay, I got the things out of the way that I know I have to do. And then you can focus your day around your work life because you can't necessarily control what's going to happen in those times. But I love being structured as well. I think having checklists is really important. Like myself, I literally am like, okay, I got to do this stuff today. And I use Andy Frisella's daily five list. Like, okay, these are the five things that I have to accomplish today. And once I do those, then my day is done and everything else can kind of just like fall into place as is. So I like that structure.
I think for me too, meditation, I meditate every morning, and that's to me
Mm.
is every bit as important as the exercise. It resets my mind and my mood so I can come in consistent every day. I think that that's such a huge part of what I do.
Mm. How long have you been meditating for?
Probably close to a decade
No way.
every day. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm working with a guy named Ben Spangle right now. I just joined his Mindset Mastery Pro class, and he teaches like his class last week was abundance alchemy and just like creating this best version of yourself that can literally attract whatever you want. And I love it. I think meditation is a huge thing that people are missing out on because it quiets your mind. And for myself, I'm like super ADHD, like just like blah, all the time, like crazy. And the meditation it's become so natural to just be like, okay, and off. Like, and my brain's off. And now I'm focused on going internally and upping my energy level, and just trying to attract the things to myself that I want. And even this podcast, I was like, I want to interview locals, right? Because I want to build those relationships with people and promote your business, and because I like what you guys do at your company. And I think it's really important to partner together in a community and build it with people that you think alike with. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna follow you on social media. And then I was like, oh, I like your content. And then it's, hey, you want to be on my show? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Right. Manifested that. So
100%. Yeah.
I love that. I went to a Joe Dispenza event in 2019, changed my life. I did a full like week-long intensive in Mexico, and no, it was 2020 actually. But yeah, it was crazy just to go there with 1,000 other people and just learn about like the mind and what we're capable of doing with our mind, and like getting rid of disease and getting rid of negative thinking patterns and stuff like that just through meditation. I thought it was very, very interesting. And when you can focus on what you want in your life, it's so different than just being like, okay, this is what I'm aiming for. But it's like, no, you're actually putting this out there that I'm trying to manifest happy. So for me, it's happy, healthy, wealthy, free. Those are my affirmations. And um, that was one of the big things about moving back to BC. I'm like, hey, happiness can only be so much if I don't feel like I have that freedom and I'm not close to my family, and I'm, just feeling really secluded and disconnected, versus coming back here. I'm like, man, I'm like 3 hours away from everybody I love, you know? And it's just so different when you can implement that into the personal side of your life, but then you can run your business more efficiently because you've got all of those things checked off, right? It's like
Well,
you're
the happier you are, the more successful you're going to be. Like happiness is everything. It's the foundation of absolutely everything. I was fortunate enough to work with I guess you could call him a life coach. His name was James Conner, and he ran a Manhattan marketing company in Manhattan. So, serving some of the Fortune 500 companies and certainly some big name players. And he through a series of events, he left corporate America and he went on a 2-year retreat. He basically went to a cabin in the desert and he meditated for 2 years. And man, what an interesting person to have coach you as a business person, because he knew business, he knew marketing, he could talk all day about it, but he figured out that the happiness part, everything flows from that. And I think it's very true.
Mhm. How's it changed your life? Just,
How did it change my life?
yeah, how's it changed your life just implementing that into your practice?
I think the biggest way that meditation has changed my life is that you start to understand, you start to see when you do it for 10 years and you do it every day for 10 years, you start to really understand how the human mind works, how your mind works, how your causes and conditions and background and upbringing and society, how it all affects you. And
Mm,
you start to deal with each situation very differently than you did when you were just reacting habitually out of, habit.
mm. Yeah, I love that. It's so true. And it's just like being able to analyze those things the next day, even, or going into the conversation like, okay, brain, what are we going to think about? Or what are we going to not think about when we're trying to go into this meditative state where so many things can just go through your head? But it's like when you connect, it's a totally different feeling. Like you don't have that busyness in your head. It's just you and yourself and what I would call spirit, or the universe, right? Whatever anyone would call that. But it's
And
when
your brain becomes a tool that you're using instead of something that's just pushing you around in your life, which is how most of us live most of the time.
yeah. Well, even just throughout the day, just taking like 5 breaths. That's a meditative practice on its own. Just like, okay, I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna just time my breathing for a few seconds and hold my breath for 6 seconds and then exhale for 8 and just calm myself back down. I think even just implementing those types of practices into your day, it really helps you be a lot more level-headed when it comes to hard conversations or conversations that you're like, man, like I deal with people's money. It can get heated sometimes, right? Or like these people are just like in such a reactive state because they're like, I just want to have more money and I'm nervous about this stuff and I'm frustrated. And in your industry, it's like, well, these people want to go see 24 different houses. It's like, okay, well, what do you actually want? Right. Versus going, okay, you can go see everything if you want to, but why? If you know you want this place, then let's go see that place first, you know?
You know, Kathleen Black, who's a world-class real estate coach, taught me something called, I think she calls it Magic Minute or something. It's before every meeting, I take a minute and I sort of close my eyes if I can, and I take a minute and I ask myself, what is the intention of this meeting? Why am I going into this meeting? What am I trying to help this person with? And then to align your energy with that intention so that you don't just run into the next meeting after the next meeting after the next meeting with the energy from the last meeting. And I think that's been really transformative to me and something that successful business people, if they aren't doing, should give a try.
Yeah, I love that Magic Minute. I think that's really necessary, even just to have a couple minutes between meetings, even if it's 5 minutes. It's like, hey, I need 5 minutes. Like, give me 5 minutes and I can just recenter and not take this, okay, energy into that next meeting. Because when you have someone's time, it's the most valuable asset that they have. So, being at your best, being able to present yourself at your best, sometimes is like, okay, I need to just step back, reconnect, ground myself, and then go into that next meeting in a more powerful way. Because if you just kind of rush things, then you do tend to bring that energy into the next meeting if you don't
And bad things happen, right?
stop. Yeah. No, it's frustrating. I totally agree with you. Um, I'd love to talk a little bit about just like home ownership and being a homeowner as well as being a business owner, right? I get a lot of questions from people who are like, I don't think that I'm going to ever be able to buy a house. And I'm like, like, we got a plan for this stuff, yes, but I think people my age in particular are like really nervous about what's happening in the markets. And we don't have to touch too much on that kind of stuff, but maybe you could give people some advice on like how to prepare for being a homeowner.
How to prepare for being a homeowner? Well, I suppose it all, I mean, you might be the better person to give that advice. It's a financial preparedness, right? It's getting your down payment together, getting um, your making sure your career is on track so that you know you aren't going to miss those payments, that you have a nest egg built up, all of that stuff. I think home ownership is critically important. It is a little bit scary with the prices being as high as they are.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, most people that end up retiring, their biggest asset after working for 40, 50 years is still their home and the equity they have in their home. That's going to be a lot of our nest eggs. So yeah, I think it's critically important. I think when you go to make the decision on buying a home, you need to be deliberate about what you're doing, making good decisions. I think that's the main thing, is that you purchase the right home that fits your ability to pay, your lifestyle, all of those things.
Mhm.
It scares me the most is when you see new homeowners reaching for a house that's maybe a little bit nicer, more expensive than maybe they should be buying in their current situation.
Oh yeah.
Just yeah, it's just start with something that is solid, and then you know a few years from now you can always sell that house and move up.
Yeah. No, I think that was the biggest thing so I dealt with your mom when she helped me buy my first home.
Mm,
And she showed us a bunch of really beautiful places, but she focused on the education side of things as well, which I'm super passionate about. And she's like, okay, well, so we were approved for like 700 grand. And she's like, yeah, but don't do that. Like,
exactly.
you don't want to do that to yourself, right? And we ended up buying something in the 400 range, and it served us super well, super well. Um, but we saw some lower end homes in the 250 to 300 range, and we were like, that was kind of our budget. But then it was like, okay, well, you can get a rental suite if you buy a little bit higher end. And I thought that that was just a really good place for us. Um, and we loved it. We sold it last year, year before, something like that. I don't even remember, 2022, we were selling it. But just going into then trading up. Okay, we can get now what we want that's a little bit bigger, extra bedroom, like just a single family home where we can actually grow into it. It was a lot different, but we spent 6 years living in a two two-story duplex, a corner lot in Fort McMurray. And it took us a long time to be able to actually be able to come back and live in our own home. And now that we've got it, it's so incredible. But I think a lot of people get really hung up on, oh, it has to be perfect right away. And I'm like, or you could look at what the potential is and put a little bit of money into it, or, do cost plus improvements on your mortgage and maybe renovate it a little bit when you buy it. But I think a lot of people do what you said, and I call it getting house horny. And they buy these incredibly beautiful homes, but then interest rates go up, or they're like, oh my goodness, my mortgage is $1,200 a month more than what it was because I picked a variable option, or stuff like that. And I'm just like, this is what I wish people understood when it came to buying a home. But even people who are buying real estate as an investment, I'm like, just can you pay for that if it's vacant? And it's a very interesting conversation to have with people, because I hear a lot of people are like, oh, real estate always goes up. I'm like, well, I lived in Fort McMurray where it didn't go up.
Doesn't always go up. No.
It didn't go up. Like, there's people who are in $750,000 mortgages that are in the 550 range now, and there's nothing they can do about it. But
When you look back at your life, the things that you remember are the places, the experiences you had, and the relationships you had. That's what really matters. Like, you have to have a house, you want to have a home, you want to have that security, that freedom, that financial investment. But at the end of the day, if you reach for something that's really, really nice, but stretching you thin, you're probably going to be stressed out. You're probably not going to be able to go out and have those experiences. It's just maybe not worth it. You're never going to look back on your deathbed and say, wow, I lived in a nice house. You know what I mean?
right, yeah, it's different. I always make the joke that people shouldn't try and keep up with the Joneses, because the Joneses are broke too.
Yeah,
And like,
exactly.
it's silly to put yourself in a situation where you can't get out of it, or like you have to give up on that dream in order to afford your bills and stuff. But you can make the best of what you've got if you're willing to just go, okay, I want to have happiness, health, freedom, and that doesn't necessarily mean I have to have this massive, gigantic home, but I do want to have something that sustains my family, that is within my budget, that's, serving the purpose. Like you said, location is really big. I know for myself, when I was buying back in town, there's a lot of parts that I wouldn't want to live in. And it was like, I'm not even going to look at homes in that area because I don't want to be in that area. But then down the road, I want to buy an acreage. And well, there's not a lot that's worth buying right now. So we settled for something a little smaller, versus we can then renovate, trade up when we chose to, but we should be able to pay off our house sooner and then be able to go from there, right? It's just different.
100%.
Yeah. So anyways, let's put our business hats back on and talk business. But what would be some success tips outside of the morning routine and the meditation that you would give people who are just starting out in business, for instance?
Well, I think you touched on it. I think you talked about hiring for weakness, but I think that the other part of that, the other part of hiring is when you're building a business, you might start as a single person and you get to the point where you're just too busy to do everything. And so now you're going to hire. You do definitely want to hire for your weaknesses, but I think that what you want to do is figure out what are the highest income producing activities that I'm doing in my day and what are the lowest. And you find somebody to take those kind of lowest income producing activities. Either they're low income or you're just not any good at them, one or the other, right?
Mm.
And to me, that's how you build business. You're kind of just repeating that cycle over and over and over again. And then when you get to a certain size and you have enough people kind of running areas, that then they start to repeat that cycle and you start to coach them through that. Like, what are you doing? You're maxed out. What are you doing that you could leverage off to somebody else? And who can we hire? What can we do? I think that's how businesses should be built.
Mm.
Other thing would be when you're a small business owner, like you start out as one person or a family business, you tend to try to control things more than you should. Hire somebody who's better at whatever it is than you are and let them run that area of your business. You're still going to have your input. They're still going to come to you for advice and decision making, but give up a little bit of that control. Someone doing something for you that's doing it 80% of the way you would do it is still better than you having to do it all yourself.
Mm. That's so good. I think that is exactly what people need to hear, because when they're starting in business, like I know for myself, I wanted to have an assistant just to say I had an assistant. And then I was like, wait, that's dumb. Like, what am I doing? And I hadn't figured out the system side of things yet. Like, okay, I need to have help with, I don't like doing paperwork. I'm doing paperwork today because guess what? I need to hire an assistant. And I haven't found anybody yet in town that's worth hiring, honestly. So it's hiring someone also that sees your vision of what you're trying to create and just going along with, okay, I need to find that right person, because I think a lot of us hire people that sometimes don't see our vision necessarily. And it's like they're never going to be as passionate about your business as you are. And I think that's a big downfall. So if you can find someone that is going to align really well with your vision and be a good part of your team, that's not going to be cancerous in your culture and stuff like that. I think it's really powerful to have those people that are like, okay, they're rooting for you, right? They want to see you win and they want to be a part of your winning as well. And I have one girl on my team in particular who's like that. And I'm just like, yeah, like, you're my people, right? It's
Well, you
so,
said culture, right? It's culture. Culture is the thing that you need to protect. You don't hire for skill, you hire for culture. You
mm,
can, I've made some bad hiring decisions where I've hired some really skillful people, some really talented people that didn't share the same values as us. And that's, that's never going to work.
mhm, exactly. And sometimes you don't know that right off the bat because they're really great in an interview. And then you bring them on board and you're like, okay, like, nope. Uh,
100%.
it's unfortunate, but you can't be afraid to get rid of those people either, because they won't help you grow your business.
And
They'll,
you owe it to everybody else in the culture to protect the culture too, right?
yeah, totally. Big time. Yeah. So I think that's really, really good advice. Anything else that you want to leave people with? I'd love people to get access to you as well. So maybe you can share your social media and maybe your vision for what you want to see happen with your business and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, our business, we're in a really interesting growth phase right now. We're moving from, so we talked a little bit about how we're started out as an agent and we grew into this small business, and now we're taking the small business and we're trying to grow it bigger. So we've built out a platform that's province wide, and we're in the process. You also spoke about systems. We're in the process of really solidifying all of these business systems and documenting them and creating training programs around them. It's a massive undertaking, but you have to do that hard work before you can start to expand. I think, and
Mhm.
that's where we're going. Um, yeah, I mean, people can check us out on our social medias or, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. It's the Fenton Group or Chris Fenton. Um, that's where people can connect with us.
Mhm. Yeah, when you start incorporating systems into your business, it changes everything. Like for myself, I literally have a folder in Dropbox that's called the important stuff. And it's like, this is everything that I've ever needed to run my business. It's my presentations, all the paperwork that I need, anything that I have ever needed is in that one folder. Is it super organized? No, but you can search anything that you need and you're able to go in and just like, okay, how do I get from where I'm at today to where I want to be? So, like a brand new agent to a senior advisor, right? Or a brand new agent to running a brokerage. What does that look like, right? And just being able to duplicate those skills. And in our system, it's the sixth step of our business system is duplication. And it's teaching people how to run the business in a way that's going to help them run their own brokerage. And I love that side of things. It's my favorite part of the business because then you get to watch people change their lives forever. And it's not just like, I'm just going to go teach them how to sell houses, right? No, I'm going to teach them how to be the best version of themselves. And I'm going to teach them how to like literally transform their entire life through my own actions and through my own systems, and then getting ideas from them as well, like, hey, how can we optimize this, or like how can we make this better? Like you said, what can you do to pass off something onto somebody else to make yourself better or to make yourself more efficient? I love that. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have systems, you don't really have a business. You just have a job at that point, right?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, buying yourself a job. It's the cash flow quadrant, right?
Well, it's where we all start, right? We all start, we know exactly what the system, and I thought when I first started to grow, I thought I had a business systems, but then I didn't realize I was the only one that knew them. And there was no way for someone else to learn them without talking directly to me. And that's not really scalable at all, is it?
No, it's not. And then there's a lot of people who are like, I just want to go really fast and I want to be able to be the most efficient version of myself for you. But what does that look like if you don't have it on paper and you don't have a like booklet or system? Here's your next steps. Here's how to do it. And I think that that's something a lot of people are missing in their businesses because a lot of people are self-employed and they think they're business owners. And then I'm like, so where's the passive income coming from? Right? Like where's the stuff coming from where you don't have to put in 100% of your effort, but your business can still grow and duplicate, right? And having those systems put in place, it allows us to take a step back and go, okay, let's get people all on the same page. Like we do weekly team meetings with updates, like here's where everyone's at. One of the things that we've implemented in the last couple of years is recognizing on core values. So like, here's the core values of my team. This is what this person has accomplished. Like one of mine is inspiring action through education. And I just want people to go out and just help people understand their finances, for instance, and just go into the household with no intention of making any money, right? And then just going, hey, how can I change this person's life? How can I get a referral? And it's just a completely different conversation at that point because they're not sitting there going, I need to sell a life insurance policy or I need to sell a home. It's I need to grow my business or I need to put myself out there and just get some no's or get some more experience. And there's so many things that we can do to just add value. And I think that a lot of people aren't doing that. So that's why I love how you run your business. And you're always there for the people and you're there to help educate them. And like, yeah, just going, hey, maybe don't buy that $1 million home that you can't afford yet, you know? And would it be nice to have that sale? Yeah, yeah, sure would pay you a lot of money. But then are you actually helping that person? Right? It's
Yeah,
so
you start looking
different.
out after other people's best interest ahead of your own, and they just start looking out after for yours, and it takes care of itself, right?
Yeah,
That's the secret.
exactly. Wicked. All right. Well, I appreciate your time today. I've gotten lots of value out of this, and I know everyone else has too. So, guys, if you are in the real estate world, reach out to Chris. If you're not, you can still reach out to Chris and get some information on who he studied and all of the people that he's learned from in his business. And there's so many more things we could talk about, I'm sure, but I love all the books behind you as well. I'm like, I can't wait to bring my books into my office. I'm still getting myself set up, but there's just so much to learn and there's so much to take in, and collaboration is a big part of it. So
Thank you.
thank you for coming on today. I really appreciate your time, guys. Make sure you share the show. This is a holistically grown podcast. We don't take money from people. We just ask you to share the show. And I know you guys got lots of value today. So thank you again for being here. Until next time, that's Pursuit of Relentless signing out.